I cross the street, I have a dream. Hey, you guys are amazing. You're not. My child was less than 1.5 years old. That year, I traveled 13 times. Huh? Are you going to raise your children? Are you going to follow a career? The dilemma we face as women. It's now. Great. How's everybody doing? It's really nice to be here. How are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 5? 5 is I feel awesome. And 1 is, it's been really tough and everything. So why don't you put your right hand and tell me how you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 5? Let's see that. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the authenticity. Great, great, great. I hear you. I am so happy to be here. I actually wanted to be here last month, but my schedule was not allowing it. But there's always a perfect time. So this is the last one for the year. I don't know what your expectation is, but I'm going to be so candid with you. I hope you're ready for candor, because candor is my middle name, if I could say so. The first thing I want to say, what is your dream? I will tell you my story, but I want to project it to you. What is your dream? Just give you a minute to think about it. Is your dream outlandish? Is it crazy? Is it out of this world? Has somebody ever told you that it's not possible? Have you looked crazy trying to chase your dream? Have you paid the price of chasing your dream? My first tagline is, don't let anybody, I don't care who it is, I don't care, it could be your best friend, it could be your parent, it could be whoever. It could be your employer, it could be someone you're into or someone you're dating or someone who you married. I don't care who it is. Don't let anybody kill your dream. As I talk to you, I will tell you the story of chasing my dream. Where did my dream come from? Did you just wake up one day and say, I have a dream? So I grew up in a girls' school and we sang a lot of musicals. I guess if you can't get it, but from my voice, I love to sing. Yeah, and this movie called Mamma Mia. And they have all these ABBA classics. I just don't know what generation you are. You may not even know who ABBA is, but that's okay. And so there's this song that says, I have a dream, a song to sing. What are the next words? With anything. And it goes on to say, I believe an angel, something good in everything I see. I believe an angel. When I know the time is right for me, I cross the street, I have a dream. Hey, you guys are amazing. You're not, this is nice. I think we're connecting on that level. Anyway, it's about having a dream. We have different dreams. There's an English saying that says, if wishes were horses. So I guess that's a way of telling you not to wish, right? Don't let anyone kill your dream. I want to talk to you about dreams that I've had. Some of them have been met, and we're on the way to meeting some of them. My dream in relation to my vocation and my calling. I listened to Steve Jobs, I think when he was unwell and he knew that he was going to pass away, and he talked about joining the dots and how life has got a way of joining the dots. And I said, that's absolutely interesting. So in my natural default, I have a knack for sciences. I'm a scientist. I don't even apologize. But was I always a scientist? I don't know. I mean, as I continue to discover who I am, I also realize that I'm a creative, and it's actually possible to be a scientist and a creative at the same time. And that's A-okay. But sometimes society says you need to be this way. So we grew up in that generation where you had to be a doctor, an engineer, or whatever it is. So typically, I think from a very young age, my father told me, I was 5 years old, and he told me they're dream builders and they're dream killers. My dad was a dream builder. And he looked at me and he told me, you can be anything you want to be. Anything. I said, Dad, really? I can be anything? I asked him, Dad, can I be a doctor? He told me, anything. Guess what? I believed him. I didn't become a doctor, but I influenced many, many, many doctors. In the continent, I influenced medical policies. So where did it start? It started in fourth form. Well, maybe it started in my first form. We used to have this thing called the Science Congress, and it was compulsory to participate. So without too much effort, we did different projects. But when I was in Form 4, I didn't want to participate in the Science Congress because I felt that it was distracting me from my goal. Nowadays, there's so many campuses. In our day, going to university was a big deal, And for me, I wanted to go to University of Nairobi. Well, maybe my dad went to University of Nairobi. I wanted to go to University of Nairobi. Anyway, so we were told that only 10% of the population will really make it. Well, I don't even know how true that is, but that's what we were told, huh? So anyway, I was really focused, and the kind of school I was in, there were lots of, what do you guys call them? Barbies, those ones, huh? I don't think I am one, but it's debatable. I don't really know. But anyway, the fact that they were rich, it meant that even if they didn't get the grade they wanted, most of my classmates studied abroad. They studied at Reading University in the UK, and they went on to the States, and they came back. But I didn't want to go to Reading. I didn't want to go to the States. I wanted to go where? Where they throw stones when there's a blackout. Anyway, I did a project with my classmates, and we were talking about penicillins. Have you heard of penicillins? It's really exciting. We didn't plan this, but we turned out first. So it meant that we had to go to the provincials and the nationals. And what that meant is that we had to do more research. So did I envision myself playing in the provincials and the nationals? I didn't. But I didn't want to look like a fool. So my motivation was to go and do the research and know what I'm talking about, so I don't end up looking like an idiot. But when I started to do the research, I really enjoyed it. I never knew. So chemistry is my favorite subject. It just makes a lot of sense to me. Those things, and organic chemistry, when you go into 3D, it just makes a lot of sense. I guess we're all wired differently, so that's how my head is wired. But it was so fascinating to understand how chemistry happens in a biological being. It doesn't just happen in the lab. It doesn't happen in vitro. It happens in vivo, inside. And it was absolutely exciting. And I said, wow, I wish I could do biochemistry. That was my first dream. I wish I could do biochemistry. And then I thought, but this is Kenya. Who gets to do what they wish, without knowing someone or having a rich uncle or something like that? So I put that wish at the back of my mind. And when we had to select campuses, I said, pharmacy sounds very with it, since everybody was going to do medicine. I said, no, I don't want to do medicine. I want to do pharmacy. I didn't know the cut for pharmacy was even higher. Well, long and short is, I didn't. Through a long story, I was called to do biochemistry. Well, no, I was called to the University of Nairobi. We were 200 people fighting for 20 slots. Biochemistry was a specialized slot. 200 people. And most of these guys, Yeah, maybe they didn't speak my kind of English, but man, they were brilliant. I mean, hey, they had done better than me. And I just thought, you guys are not leaving me behind. I am going in for this fight. And oh, did I burn the midnight oil? The long and short is, I got there. Yay, right? Yay. It was difficult. So I got there, and then the dream became a nightmare. So it was very exciting, but equally very, very, very challenging. But that was the first foundation. Now, in the course of time, I said, I want to work for pharmaceutical companies. No, before I wanted to work for pharmaceutical companies, I said, I'd love to work for a research organization. I wanted to come up with something amazing, maybe in skincare or, So, I don't know, nowadays we've all gone natural in our hair thing, huh? But, there's a time when it was really cool to relax your hair. So, for those of you who remember a little bit of chemistry, you know what happens when you put the chemical on the hair and you relax it? It breaks the covalent bonds. Your hair is kinky as an African because it has covalent bonds. So those bonds is what makes your hair nice and kinky. So I found it so interesting. I said, wow, it would be so nice to have a chemical that, that is safe, that doesn't whatever, because later on as you grow in life and you're expecting a baby and you're told, hey, you can't relax your hair. It's not good for the baby, hoo-ha, etc. So, well, trends have gone backwards. Who would think that natural hair would be a trend right now? Anyway, so that's what I wanted to do, but all I knew is I wanted to transform people's lives. And the way it happened is I started working in pharmaceutical companies. And it was great, it was fantastic. On one hand, it was fantastic, because when you start, depending on which company you got, they even were ready to hire me before I finished graduating. So I graduated I didn't graduate. I went to my graduation working. In fact, I drove to my graduation and say, wow, that's amazing. Here's the thing. I finished my exams on a Friday. I'd gone for my interview before my exams. They didn't know I hadn't finished my exams. So so when can we hire you? I'm like, whoops, I've got 2 more months of studying. So they told me, finish your exams and come. I went for the interview on Monday. They hired me on Monday. And so when do you want to start? I said, no, I need to organize myself. I need 2 weeks. And I gave myself 2 weeks, and I started working. And the thing about it, well, that organization, they gave you flashy cars, and you looked really, all that. But you also traveled a lot. Yeah? There were certain weeks I could drive 1,600 kilometers in the whole week. That, I think, is where my true dream and my life purpose came. Growing up in middle-class Nairobi, I was shielded from the reality of poverty. And when I started to drive, I started to see things that were disturbing me. And they disturbed me a lot. There was a time when HIV was really a big animal. Yeah? That is the time I started working. It's just this year, the vaccine for malaria was developed. I'm very proud to have worked with the organization that was developing that vaccine. But I started going to they were called district hospitals. I started to see that there was no medicine in hospitals. I saw desperation in the eyes of mothers. I remember once I was in Meru. It was cold, it was rainy, and there I was, very hype in my boots, and my stuff, and, all set, I want to talk about these amazing drugs that we're selling that are going to change people's lives. Then I saw a man, almost the age of my grandfather. He had no shoes. He had no sweater. He had, what do you call it? I have to call it the way I know it. He had a jwala covering him. And I said, there's something wrong with this equation. Even the medicine that I want to sell, there's no way he can afford it. How did I feel? I felt extremely frustrated. I remember saying, so God, what do you want me to do? Why would you make me feel like this? And because I seemingly couldn't do anything about it, I shrugged it off, but it never left me. So I went in there. Hey, how you doing? Hey, we got this molecule. It's so unique. Blah, 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 blah. Do you see yourself using this on your patients? And I'm thinking about that old man, and I'm thinking, so how is he going to get it? Because the government was not buying medicine. Anyway, then I moved because the first company, the one that employed me immediately after campus, it was local. It was owned by an entrepreneur, a local guy here, who, by the way, used to work for PwC, and his brother passed away. Unfortunately, his brother was a pharmacist who passed away in a plane crash. Then he took over the company. And by that time, he would pocket 10 to 15 million in his own, those are the profit margins that he was making. So a few years later, I said, no, I want to work for a multinational. And we started the interview process. It didn't come to me on a silver platter. We were 200 people who applied. Something about this number 200, it keeps coming up, eh? With 200 people who applied, shortlisted to 15, so I was in the 15, and then shortlisted to 4 people. Well, we were shortlisted to 4 people. The entrepreneur, I don't think they knew I was doing interviews, but they promoted me. I was like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. I am promoted on this side, and I am going for a job interview on this side. And my parents were like, I pray that they don't get me. They don't take me for the job. And they didn't take me for the job. I was like, whew, let me serve as a manager at this point. So I am a manager at what, at 26 years old? Anyway, it was very interesting. But a little after, I kept thinking, there has to be more. There has to be more. The same organization, again, another opening. I'm like, that's it. This is my job. They shortlisted until the 4. And I'm not going to, excuse me, let's do it. And went on there and, at the last minute, you won't believe what happened. Do you think I got the job? I didn't. They took the best guy in my team. And you know how they took him? One of their employees came here to Mombasa, this Mombasa of yours, and then he got stranded. And then my colleague helped him out. So we had been interviewed. We were about to be given the offer letter. Then he called the office. He said, there's a guy you guys have to interview. They interviewed him. Can you imagine? He came back on a Saturday. These guys came to the office on a Saturday. They don't do that. They interviewed him. And they hired him. That was a dark day. I had balancing tears. I was like, it's okay. I'm happy for you. And I got home and, the waterworks just showed up, And when you guys get to meet my husband, Otumbo knows him. He's very calm, cool as a cucumber. Says, don't worry, God wants you to rest. I'm like, oh, he does, huh? Okay. This was in October, okay? We go on leave in December. I was so disappointed. I just forgot about it. I just looked for something else to do. And this best guy in my team, he came to me and gave me his resignation letter. And you see where we used to work? There were really plush cars, but there were company cars. So he had to hand over his car. And guess who was giving him the lift to the new organization? Yours truly. And it's as if he sensed it because we were one in faith. And we used to pray for our organization. Those people who believe when God puts you in an organization, you pray for the success of your organization. So we're praying for this entrepreneur. Watch his stories. By the way, he was a tax evader. Just so that you know. Anyway, but we're praying for his success. So as I was driving him to the new office, he looked at me and he told me, Yvette, this one was mine. Yours will come. I said, okay. You go there and shine. Because if you shine, I shine. Because I was a manager. It was December. He couldn't go on leave because your contract says you have to work for 1 year. I went on leave. I had fun. In comes January. And remember, I had been promoted to a manager. And those managerial whatever's had good benefits. I had a company credit card. You know, I mean, you could wave it around if you wanted. It company. So if Mshahara delayed, I could go do shopping and it'll be cut out from my, whatever. I'll pay it back or whatever it is. So come January, again, the same organization, it has an opening. I said, wait a minute. See, I'm going to look desperate. I'm not even. They can go hang. I left them. So I meet the guy who told me, yours will come. Because we're in the same place. We're meeting our clientele are doctors who are, so we met at Nairobi Hospital. So he's smiling at me. He's like, yeah, interviews are going on. I'm like, good for you, He's like, I know you're wondering why they didn't call you. I said, so they decided to shortlist other people so they can get to know them. The truth is they didn't want to hire us. There was me and another guy. Oh, by the way, he's working here in Mombasa. I'm going to call him tonight, yeah? He's a very good friend of mine. So the guys that were interviewed were not impressive. They reached until the end and I said, but wait a minute. There was Yvette, there was Martin. Now, Martin was out of town. Kwanzaa him, he had to take the night bus. On his employer's time, nobody knows he's come back to Nairobi to do an interview. Me, I was in a meeting in the boardroom. And that day, so this is how I could dress to impress when I wanted to. So the day for the interview, first the day before the interview, you start dressing upwards so that you don't just come and you're swearing people of that day. So, but it was so hot, almost like here. It's hard to dress upwards when it's so hot. So I didn't dress upwards. I said, whatever, man. Right in the middle of my meeting in the boardroom, I get a call from these guys. And they're like, Yvette, we're so sorry to ambush you. Do you think you can join us at 1:30? I'm in a board meeting. I walked in and say, guys, I have a meeting. And they said, and now my car was in the garage. So they said, all right, we'll drop you to go pick your car and to go for your meeting. I'm thinking, this is amazing. Now, the people who were fixing my car decided to do an engine wash. Who asked them to do an engine wash? I'm thinking, I am going to be late. I'm not going to make it. Industrial area, the offices are in Hurlingham. Anyway, so it's 1:10. That's what I've got in my car. I'm looking at how I'm dressed and I don't like it. I'm thinking, So then I'm calling them, I'm saying, guys, the traffic, I'm not gonna make it. They're like, you know what, Yvette? Actually, another candidate has come. Can you show up at 2:30? Cheers. Did a turn, went home, dressed up. Then I'm like, but people saw me in the morning. Carried my clothes, put them in the boots, just in case, You gotta act the role. Anyway, the long and short is I went for the interview, the final interview. There's nothing new I told them. In fact, I just thought, these guys, they're just playing us. They want to play, whatever. Anyway, the long and short is they asked me. I was so, how can I put it? When you go for an interview and you really want to impress, this time I was tired. I was nonchalant. I just sat there and I'm like, I just told them what was in my mind. And they said, thank you very much. And I walked downstairs. As I got downstairs, there was a cafeteria. She was now my colleague, but she was my first boss, and we were really tight. And she's like, Yvette. I'm like, hi. She was called Ruth. Hi, Ruth. I know I changed. She was not even worried. She's like, hey, come and eat a sandwich with me. And we ate. I told her, Ruth, I have just done an interview upstairs. And she looks at me and she tells me, Yvette, you're going to go. They're going to take you. I can't believe you're leaving. And the long and short is they took me. They are hurdles to meeting your dream and your aspiration. And sometimes you just have to press in. Don't let the roadblock stop you. Now, I need to tell you about that place because I'm going to tell you which organization this is. I am so proud of them. They affect me to this day. I was in that organization for 8 years. My career grew the best and the most there. I had my children when I was in that organization. It was so amazing. And guess what? I have their vaccination for COVID. It was AstraZeneca. I worked with them for 8 years. I got my promotion there. They exposed me. I worked in 14 countries because of them. So I thank God for that beautiful opportunity. If I'd given up, who knows? I don't know. And in that organization is where my entrepreneurial spirit was born. Because those who know me and those who interact with me, you will know this girl is an entrepreneur. You can call it whatever, but I am an entrepreneur. It is so inborn, I can't, even if I disguised it, but it was born when I was working in my dream job. How do you like that? It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. That was so much fun. The promotion that came when I was 30 years old, I wasn't planning for it. I didn't want to get promoted. I just had a baby. I was like, I just want to be a good mom. Who cares? You know, I mean, it's okay. It's a secure job. It's all right. But I cared about one thing. I said, if I don't do these interviews, these people are going to think I'm ambitious. And then my life is not going to be good. So it was self-preservation. There were people who got first classes. There were people who were MBAs. I was an MBA. I was a BSc at that point. And as God would have it, he who opens a door that no man can shut. I didn't just get the promotion for the position I was looking for. I got the promotion for the higher one. And because it was a rich company, for the interview process, you do psychometric tests. And you have a psychologist who will tell you how you're best matched, gee, for what role, who, ha, ha, ha. Shock on me. Shock on me. That's how I got that job, you know. They said, you? I said, so there was a people job and there was a product job. And I thought, I am a people person. I am so good at people. I got this. I got this. But my presentation showed that I was a product person, but it was picked up in the psychometrics. And the guy tells me, Yvette, put a ratio of 51 to 49, okay? People or products. And do you know what I said? I said, but products are like people. They need to be nurtured. I'm there building a case for products. Yet I'm saying I'm a people person. Anyway, that was my entry to marketing. Oh my goodness, that has been so much fun. When I meet someone who's a true marketer per extraordinaire, I completely enjoy engaging with them. It's completely fun. And that is how I went into the world of marketing. So I was a product manager for 5 years, and I interacted with the best science I have ever interacted with in my whole life. So all that biochemistry that I wanted to do when I was in 4th form, and I went to university, and I tell you, it kicked my behind. I wanted it, but it kicked my behind so hard. I went into application mode in the industry. And when I was doing cardiovascular medicine, my husband asked me, Yvette, why are you not a doctor? I'm like, I don't need to be one. Are we going to pay fees for me to go to medical school, or are we going to educate our children? Let's focus. It's time for them. I've done mine. But this job put me on platforms. It put me on international platforms. It put me with key opinion leaders. It put me with the who's who. And we shaped their minds. And we influenced them. And I am so proud of it. If somebody said it was not possible, and I believed it, that would have been unfortunate. So the doors that people open, so that was it on the job front. And I remember I was in a conference in South Africa. I'll talk about this and mix it up with parenting, because I did talk about, having my children on the job. I'll come to that in a bit. But I was in a conference and I was meeting Nigerian doctors. Now, Nigerians can be really intelligent, hey? And me, if you want to get to me, let's have mental stimulation. That's what is really nice. We enjoy, And we were talking, and this doctor tells me, hey, so where did you do your master's? I'm like, I haven't done it yet. You know, haven't done, I mean, I was very secure. I haven't done it yet. I've got 2 children. Those are my degrees, and I'm very happy with them. Anyway, so long and short is, I said, actually, I am thinking about, I'm glad I didn't do my MBA when everybody was doing it, because an MBA is on-the-job learning. You learn more when you're on the job and you're able to apply it. So I told him, I think I'm going to do public health, and I want to influence health policy. That's what I thought. A little while later, after so there were back-to-back trips. There was the South Africa, then I went to Ireland, and then I went to London for training. And when I was training in London, the guy was like, hey, you know, with the British accent, so where did you do your MBA? I'm like, I haven't done my MBA yet, you know? Anyway, so it's like, oh my, you are such a natural. I said, well, thank you, I love it. You know, it's fantastic, you know? And we continued there. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. So a few things started happening. I told you about these 3 trips: Joburg, Ireland, Dublin, and London. My child was less than 1.5 years old. That year, I traveled 13 times. Huh? Are you going to raise your children? Are you going to follow a career? The dilemma we face as women. And when I was traveling back from Ireland, I sat on the plane and I was looking out of the window and I just started to weep. There was this couple next to me. The wife was Kenyan, the husband was Brazilian. They owned this restaurant called Pago Gaucho. Yeah. So, and they had their son. He was the same age as mine. Now the voices in my head, you are a bad mother. Woo, which kind of mother does this? Woo, hey, you will burn in hell, woman. You know, anyway, whatever. Condemnation from here to Timbuktu. I was feeling guilty. You know, and then you meet men on the job, huh? And they say, hey, if I had a wife like you, I'd not let her travel. I remember looking at one and said, thank God you're not my husband. Thank God. You know, and they backed off, you know. It was such a dilemma. It was such a dilemma. And by the way, before I went to South Africa, I fired the help. She left my kids alone. And it was, I said, if I'm here in Kenya, you're leaving my kids alone, what's going to happen when I leave the country? I fired the help, and my husband was in the hospital, admitted. And I was traveling the next day. What do you do when you have such dilemmas? I have a great network of friends. The friend I was telling you about, called her. I said, there's trouble. I'm traveling. I fired my help, and I'm going. And she's like, don't worry. Now, she had a house help who had stayed with her forever. In fact, she was trying to get her to retire. She's like, no, let me just stay with you another, I don't know how many years. She said, don't worry. Auntie Grace will get you someone. After work, I was traveling on a Tuesday morning. After work, I interview whoever. Auntie Grace has got her niece. That Auntie Grace got me Auntie Agnes. Auntie Agnes stayed with me for 3.5 years after that. I hired her and told her, see ya. And my sister moved in the house. And off I went. Those were the dilemmas of work. Yeah, I battled. At a certain point, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. How do you balance all these things? But while that was going on, my career was going on. I was being exposed. I was learning. We were changing policies. That particular year, I kept going to, because now we're reporting to South Africa. I kept going to South Africa over and over. Yani, I was training people in South Africa. They're being promoted. Going, you know, it was a different organization. South African organization was much bigger than the Kenyan outfit. So, yeah, there are lots of stories for you moms. I was those people. In spite of all that, I did exclusive breastfeeding. No formula, no nothing. So I remember once going to South Africa, I'm like, I'm a nursing mother. I need a freezer. I need whatever. I need to express my milk, you know? And I would do that and show up. And the team in South Africa was so fantastic. They told me we're going to go. They were more advanced than we were in Kenya. They went and they got me this freezing stuff and whatever. I remember checking out of my hotel. It was rock hard. And because of the time difference, I reached 12 hours later. Fantastically preserved. That child does not go to hospital. Anyway, you know, just balancing all these things, it's really interesting. But just before I got promoted, now I'm going back. I've gone forth, now I'm going back. Just before I got promoted, I told you about that man in Meru. So here I am in the heart of Awendo. You know Awendo? Heart of Awendo. I'd go there because they were rich. It was a sugar company, so they used to buy, they had budget for medicine. Because now my medicine was not too bob. It was, yeah, it cost an arm and a leg, you know? But they used to give me great orders. So the guy in charge asked me, can you give me a lift? The next town is 50 kilometers away. I'm giving this guy a lift. He's telling me his kids go to USIU. I'm like, hang on. I grew up middle class Nairobi. USIU was not even in the radar. Okay, they didn't do sciences, but I don't think my parents could afford USIU. I asked him, do these guys pay you that? He said, no. I said, what do you mean? He said, it's easy, it's farming. I said, rubbish. Farming? Are you kidding me? What are you farming? At the sugar cane. I said, that's a joke. There's scams left, right, and center. He gave me a few numbers, and I said, will you teach me? Will you teach me? I don't know whether he thought I was joking. He laughed. He looked at my nails. He looked at me there talking. He looked at my high shoes, and he said, yeah, okay. Needless to say, it never happened. Huh? But I realized that there was potential here. And I got back home. That was 2 years after I met the guy in Meru. I got back home and I said, Otundo asked about network marketing. How many of you guys have done network marketing? It's hard work, huh? I even had done network marketing. It wasn't working. And you know the way you're being told, you need another channel of disposable income, CG, what. So I knew network marketing wasn't going to work. So I was really thinking, farming can be better than network marketing. It can be rocket science. Now, I told you about my friend Martin, who works here now in Mombasa, who I'm going to call. We were hired on the same day. So he came with a night bus. He was after me. And in fact, when I was coming out to interview, I was smiling. I was like, who's this guy smiling at me? Anyway, we ended up with thick as thieves, tight like a nonsense. So we're given the same territories, the ones that everybody, it was the territories for the rejects. That's how we entered. Let me tell you, we turned it around, we choppered. That's how we became partners in crime, as I call it. And we used to sit down and say, that is where we used to discuss our dreams. We used to say, yeah, we can own pharmaceutical companies. Why not? How did these people start? We actually even attempted. It's amazing. Anyway, the long and short is we both became amazing entrepreneurs. Martin inspired me to be an entrepreneur, and I inspired him. So I told him, he said, hey, let me tell you, Yvette, this weekend I was in Kangundo. Let me tell you, I met some Kuyos, Bana. These guys, they got whatever, they were planting tomatoes, whatever. They came in, I don't know whether that story was true. I need to ask him. It just sounds not true now. Actually, after 9 months, they all had 5 pickups. I was like, really? This is amazing. This is high-level potential.